The trip has started, the Lake District trip. This is going to be a kind of a vlog, but I guess might be some information here for those planning a similar thing. But yeah, I just came from Blackpool, also on the itinerary. Iconic Blackpool. Yeah, it is iconic. I have to say, the stereotype is definitely always right about people in the north, British people in the north, being a lot friendlier than those in the south. Very nice vibes. I arrived in Scotland, having been travelling for 3.5 years outside of the UK, and it was very impressive, I must say, but that's to be expected without adding a negative sprinkle to everything. It's it's a strategy. It's, you create division by giving certain gifts to others, and that's what creates the kind of animosity and negative sentiments, jealousy, hatred, all that kind of stuff. And I have to say that the kind of infrastructural projects in Scotland, the general aesthetic of Glasgow and Edinburgh, could be seen as comparable to Scandinavia or Nordic countries. It's really that phenomenal. I mean, how the place feels, general vibe, and of course it's going down that classic totalitarian nationalist directive, that direction, which is essentially how you build and then how you deconstruct countries. So if you imagine the world as we're taught it is, so it could be far more extensive, is a giant sheep pen, and we are the sheep in said pen. And like rotational grazing, we're placed in certain places at certain times. We're bred to be suited to certain places. Now, that's biological and genetic, but it's also societal. So we're shaped environmentally and then placed in places to serve a purpose. And nationalism is obviously, an extension of the family. It's an extension of kinship. You go from the self, the individual, to the family, the friend group, the community, and onwards and upwards, right? So the village, the town, the city, but it's all related to that central point. You're all binded, in theory, by, cultural similarities, shared value sets. And that's how they, being the controllers, have forever, utilised people. It's that kind of dividing line, because that's the way society should be. And nationalism is, by the laws of logic, a great thing. It's good. There's nothing bad about it. It's just when they decide that it's no longer in their interest to promote it, they spin it so that it becomes a negative. It becomes a symbol of hatred and animosity and all these things that it never was before. And they can do that with anything. So if you take the United Kingdom, if you take Europe as a whole and the kind of formerly prestigious nations, the powerhouses of the world, you could say, the world as it is taught to us, France, Spain, Italy, United Kingdom, were all made great by nationalism. And now it's no longer viable for those that control to promote said nationalism in said places. Therefore, they're now deconstructing that nationalism, creating ultra-liberalist values, certainly not liberalist, what people could brand as communism or alt-rightism. It's all one thing, really. It's beyond just logical kind of communal value sets. And they're doing that because they're promoting it elsewhere. So if you take the United Kingdom, obviously they're deconstructing it, they're creating that division which, prevents any kind of oppositionary force from taking a hold and stance in said location. So they have, people bickering amongst themselves based on whether they're black or white or gay or straight or Scottish or English or Irish. So that's why you have this kind of promotion of Scottish nationalism. To promote such, you need to start fueling it with high-end finance, and that's what Scotland is a really nice place to live. And that's because they want it to be independent and they want to create that division. And Wales will follow very, very soon after, and Northern Ireland, and we're seeing that live. And it's all intentional. And of course, on the other side of the world, because those that govern the realm are essentially they're occultists. It's a pyramid scheme in essence. It's compartmentalized so that people are given a little bit of kind of prestige and they think they have value in the company, and consequently, you know, they keep the secrets. They share that value of secrecy, which creates brotherhood and so-called unity and the occultist value sets that we see today, because they can't be accessed by the general populace. They can't even be accessed by those within what is essentially a corporation. And those within said corporation that are lower down the scale don't necessarily realise, as I said, what they're involved in, what they're promoting, and if they do, they certainly don't care, because they're being rewarded with that little bit of prestige, you know, because human beings are naturally competitive, and you know, so survival now isn't about the physical. It's not about going out and, you know, grazing your sheep and cutting down your lumber to fuel your family. It's about social survival. It's about the brand that you are, what you promote yourself as in the digital marketplace, in that sphere. So anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. I was in Scotland. It's lovely, of course, and naturally they're promoting the nationalist sentiment because it's doing them well. So they've got all these stupid hate speech laws which are coming in. You know, Scottish people are able to get certain things aligned to European Union nationals that people a metre across the border in England, the same country, of course, the United Kingdom, aren't able to receive. One such example, you can, I don't know what this is, by the way, a little show. One such example, you can get your eye tests in Scotland for free. You can't get that in England. And of course, I don't know if it's still the same. I actually looked this up recently with respect to international students from the European Union wishing to study in England. But it used to be the case that they were allotted full funding, which of course was never paid back, because if you give someone from Romania or I guess a less developed part of the European Union £11,250 so-called loan to study in London per year, well, they're going to get the check and they're going to fuck off, aren't they? But that's again part of the plan. It's to create that division. It's also a very logical business practice, because the money's not real, of course, but we can go down that wormhole in another vlog. But you know, in essence, assuming you believe the economic paradigm to be just and worthy and truthful, and that the figures really do add up, well then the banks want to loan the government money because the government has to pay that money back with high interest. So the more you throw money away in a kind of welfare system, not only do the banks have a stranglehold over the government, consequently those that run the banks have a stranglehold over the entire economy, global economy, but yeah, your profiteers make money. That's really how it works. But of course, none of that is true, because money is actually not real at all. It's a complete illusion. There's no such subject as economics. It's actually an oxymoron, because if the economy is dictated by the environment, the subject should be called political economy, because it differs in each and every corner of the world. And indeed, it used to be called political economy, but of course it was rebranded as economics to give this illusion that it's an absolute. In the same way as they use science as a brand to extinguish any oppositionary force that stands outside of the realm of what is supposedly science. It's all a farce. You know, everything is theatre, and everything is governed by these little groups, and they're not that little relative to the global population, but we use that word. Rotary Club, Freemasons, Courtwainers, those are the examples I always give. Kiwis, there's so many. We're talking hundreds of organisations across the world. And naturally, in order to be a part of these organisations and have any kind of, I guess, authority, you have to have some kind of social standing, some kind of use for set practice. So you might be, I don't know, the headmaster or headmistress of a school. You might be, you know, someone that can, you know, tweak society. You might run a car dealership. It's quite prominent. You might have a very profitable cafe in the centre of a potent part of the city. You know, anything that brings value to the organisation is going to allow for kind of, you know, those kinds of memberships. And anyway, I'm going to continue this on, because I just realised this has turned into something completely unrelated from the Lake District, which is what it was supposed to be about. Yeah, I'm doing a little detour because I didn't realise the dual carriageway was that dual carriageway like. So We'll leave it at exactly 10 minutes, that's a good time. And yeah, part 2 will come soon.